Playing music, to put it lightly.
Wait, so are you saying that the music's too low or too high?
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
It's just that on the speed gaming Android problem, I had the video on that relatively high. If that makes sense. Cool. I think the setup's about ready. Hope you haven't modified the settings. So.
Okay.
And 3, 2, 1.
Hey, I'm tigdwan, back from playing Bonk. This time I'm going to be playing SolSeraph, which is for just the PC. It's from the Sega Ace team. Let's get into it. Let's do my own countdown. 3, 2, 1. But SolSeraph is a spiritual successor to ActRaiser that was on the Super Nintendo. It's a mixed genre game, and we're starting out with a platforming level. If you've ever played ActRaiser on the Super NES, the whole successor part of it will become pretty obvious. And then ActRaiser this past year, actually they did ActRaiser Renaissance, a true modern sequel, and this is better. That's not just my opinion, that's fact. So all the text on screen, it's basically forcing you through a tutorial stage here. In the upcoming, there's going to be a simulation, and it will again basically be a forced tutorial. I'm actually exiting out of the game and coming back in through the save file to skip some animations. There's little time tech like that throughout the run. Now we have the overworld simulation part. First group of people are Manu and Priya. I think it's a grandfather and granddaughter. Helios, the main character. Helios seems overly concerned with getting Priya convinced that he really exists. Like, he never shows this much concern for anybody else specifically. Just telling us to build farms, houses, and lumber mills. Those are our 3 resources: people, food, and wood. Didn't have the speed magic on, that's one of the most important speed techs. So it's trying to have us build some buildings right now. We don't want to have any part of that. We're just going to use our character to take out the first couple of waves, and then do as much building as we can all at one time. And we build in such a way to try to get basically as much bang for our buck. And we are constantly skipping through all of the storyline. Very basic kind of overall story is that there's the villain's actual name is Chaos, has kind of separated these tribes, and they don't really know if each other exist anymore. They're all struggling to survive. So it's now, game is amping up the difficulty, having enemies coming from both sides. Actually a pretty nice, kind of gentle entry into the game. Making as much use as I can of the ability to place Helios down as a soldier to get these waves to go as quickly as possible. Now we're just letting Helios kill. We really want him to turn both of these jellies into small jellies. Oh, Helios. When they're the small jellies, they move much more quickly. So I actually have to go out of my way, do some of his work. And then quickly try to set up the last bits of towers here. There's one last tower. Then we are basically done building any sort of the defenses for this first world. We just have to build, get souls from the waves and build layers to clear these black clouds. And inside the black clouds you can see these kind of, they almost look like circus tents. Those are enemy layers, which you can actually fight as soon as you want to after clearing the black cloud and in between waves. But there's no actual benefit to clearing any of them out. It doesn't stop enemies from coming from them. So it's time-wise best to just wait until the very end and do them all at once. So that is what we do. Working on the last wave here. Trying to maneuver these little storyline interruptions. Watch for Helios to go up. Make sure to get him placed as quickly as we can. Get maximum usage out of him. Have to make sure that all of these guys get killed by the arrows. Otherwise that's bad. Not gonna have a good time if that happens. Okay, that was good. Getting in place, ready to do all the layers. We are now into the layer segment. So in these, for the most part, there are these just kind of little worlds where we have to kill out a bunch of enemies. But three or four times they're actual like level-long levels. We didn't want him to punch like that. Comes invulnerable for no real reason. And we want to get to the next layer as quickly as possible each time, because doing that avoids a cutscene, which we will see one time in the entire game, hopefully, which will be in the next world. It was nice of them to overlap so much. One of the trickiest skips here. This is very long. Got it. Lots of the layers are pretty simple here in this first world because it's, you know, trying to ease the player into the game. I call it the first world, although there is a point where you can just leave and go to any world you want and do them in any order that you want. But I would suggest that anybody start with the Plains of Weedu. So here's one of the little mini levels. This is probably my favorite of all of the levels. Partially because I've done it so many times, which is a little counterintuitive that it's not like dull, but it's that I know where to jump, so it's not stressful. Intentional damage there. This little weave through there. It's just fun and satisfying. Although I do hate this end boss here. We have to kill all of these jellies before we can get out of the level. It's tedious. That's my one complaint. We have one more layer to clear up, and then we'll be able to go into the final boss of this area. Supposed to get hit by that guy. And that guy. Okay, still have enough magic to get this crab up here. Crabs are pretty annoying because if they are in their kind of tucked down position, they don't take as much damage or possibly any damage. So you're limited to when you can really have effective fights against them, and that can eat up time. I could try to rush that right now before all of that text, but it would have been a chance for a soft lock, and so not done in any sort of marathon runs. I rarely actually do it in runs where I'm trying for a world record because it's only worth like 2 seconds, and it just has a chance to ruin the past 15 minutes. This is the first boss level. Get to the King of Trees. This might also be the only, now that I'm thinking about it, it's the only level that's really vertical. Okay, I'm having much more trouble than I should just getting up that. There's a checkpoint. Very early on in the speedrunning of this game, that would be a point where we die to get back health. It's kind of crazy to think that we ever had to do that. There's some weird physics when you jump off of moving platforms. It like keeps your momentum and then adds the jumping momentum. So you get these just really super long jumps. First boss is King of Trees. Reminds me of the Mood Slime from Ghostbusters 2, or a Capri Sun commercial. We'll take care of him in pretty quick order. And he's dead. Right there, it's showing us the magic that he gives us. He gives us healing magic. that's great for casual playthrough, but you don't want to have to use it in speedrun. One, because it means that you're taking a lot of damage, and two, because it adds time. Second world that we go to in the speedrun is the Sikh Desert. There's all these skeletons, scarab bugs, roly-polies, and heads that should not be able to fly because they do not have any muscle. I'm fine with the other skeletons, but those flying ones, that's where the game crosses the line. Stretches credulity. Moment here we're going to have the... yeah, there's the first appearance of the wizards, which are a constant pain in this game. You can just teleport throughout the entire level. It's going to get in my grill. Actually, wasn't that bad. Again, exiting all the way out, coming back in. Jean and Arda. I kind of ship these two. I imagine that they had a pretty hot and heavy relationship in their younger years, because they fight like an old married couple. Arda acts like she doesn't like Jean, but I'm pretty sure that, you know, they're an item. That is my personal fanfic, but I want it to be canon. Here's actually a pretty interesting wave in this game, because we're going to let all of these enemies hit our campfire. Which, if you look in the top left of the screen, you'll see they kind of look like 5 emeralds. Those represents the 5 hits that the campfire can take before you lose a what would you call one of these? I'm blanking on the name because I'm building. Wave. Before you'd lose a wave. Since there are only 4 enemies, they can all hit it. It's totally fine. And it's better for us to kind of just let them go through that. And we use speed up magic because then it lets us collect a lot of wood for building rapidly. The only appearance of the well in the entire game. That's gonna bother me. It's not perfectly on, and so it's gonna eat at me every time I see it. This level has these stupid skeleton guys that have to be knocked down 3 times to actually die until the very last wave of this, when we get a building that will be able to knock them down in 1. That was weird. It's taking its time for the interrupt message and going on to the next wave. It's always concerning. Because there are occasional glitches in the game. It isn't foolproof in its design. Just trying to keep track of both areas. moving these clouds around. The clouds actually are what regenerate the magic power that I have, but some enemies also use them to get health, so I do not want them to be able to get that. Trying to move that as far down, get that one away. I want Helios to, he's doing good, killing those big scarabs. Little early trying to set him down there. And there are only 3 enemies that come in the bottom area this wave, so I know it's fine. Well, it better be. I say that now, it's not going to be. Okay, so we just now unlocked the magic tower, which is the building that can kill the skeletons in 1 hit. Okay, we want to watch here and hope that the Queen of Bones' tail doesn't come up, because sometimes Helios will attack that instead of the enemies. I want him to keep his eye on the prize. That was fairly good for him. Okay, that was almost bad. I did not put a guy in there. That would have been bad. Oh, shoot. I'm so used to splitting there. So in these lair worlds, we do have to kill these skeletons multiple times, but they're nice and we only have to do it twice. Too early on that swing. This is when the lairs start having 3 waves of enemies. I want this guy to come to the foreground quickly. That was relatively quickly for him. So here's the one time we can't get the lair skip. And to skip that cutscene of basically kind of some sort of crystal around the final lair going away. So instead we just put on speed up magic and have it speed up the cut scene. Now jump and shoot. Dig up. That was less than good. Again, we want this guy to come with as few fire breaths as possible. Oh, got it with only one. Very nice of him. Or her. Not a fan of this layer here. Mainly because of this bottom part. Shoot up. That was pretty poor. Gonna try to forget that lair. We need some good RNG from the wizards here. Want them to play nicely. Come back here, little bug. Didn't get the great RNG. Sometimes you can get this skeleton to come down. You could kill all three at the same time. I got the early pot shots in there. They were fairly nice. On to the level with the Queen of Bones. Talk about the Queen of Bones when we get to her. Right now, just enjoy all these roly-polies. And the two wizards that are going to follow us through this entire level. So if I ever have kind of an opportunity, I will slash at these wizards. Because occasionally you can kill them. Otherwise, you're just doing your best to avoid them. Queen of Bones is one of the RNG bosses. Because she's going to go underground and do these tail swipes at us. And there's no real rhyme or reason to how many she does. We want her to do 2. With 2, that's usually just enough to have done enough hits to her. She's given us 4. Want her to come up. There she goes. Dead. So I'd say that was poor RNG. Oh, went a little too south to Mount Agnir. Giant mushrooms. I like these little blue monsters that swing the club. They're very dedicated to their attack method. There's never any change of plan. Just move forward, swing the club. Okay, there we go. Got those 2 to overlap so that we could get basically hits at them at the same time. Little optimizations like that. Always nice. Getting hit by those guys, not nice. So the lightning there, the lightning has, after you use it, you have 1 basically invulnerability hit. So there are several places in the speedrun where we take advantage of that. And exiting out and entering back into the saved game. This is Perkunus and Plato. Plato is the biggest whiner in the entire game. Perkunus is not much better. She will ask for a dog multiple times. She also is the entire reason that this village is going to get attacked, because she is the one that's asking for these bridges. And the only reason that the enemies are able to get to their campfire is because they added bridges. So she's Perkunus' daughter. He's the tribe leader, so I would assume that she's in position to be the next tribe leader, and she makes terrible decisions. Not a good hope for the future. I play a game here where I watch Helios to see if he has any whiffs. He didn't have any whiffs. If he gets a whiff, I mock him mercilessly. This is one of the more extensive builds. Get in there, Helios. Rough him up. You just unlocked the windmill. Perfect timing. Almost as if the speedrun is designed so that we get it right here. The windmill gives you twice the production output of farms. So the reason that I didn't fill that cabin up or the lumber mill up right away was because I was waiting for the houses that I had just built to actually spawn people, so that the nearby people were the ones that went and basically filled the job order. Because otherwise I would have had people from very far away trying to run there, and they wouldn't have started cutting down trees until much later than I want them to. Almost done with this build. I can place that house. Now we just have Helios placements and one tower to fill. Okay, good on Helios. Taking care of the big flame fire monster guy. There we go. Very intentional to put in this temple first, because that is the layer that we're going to attack first, and it is really easy to forget to put in that temple. Menu, please. Okay, Helios is doing his thing where he's running. I don't know what he's doing there. He's acting like a fool. I mean, that's what he's doing. Everything's under control. That's gonna be... I think it's the next wave. The next wave, I guess, yeah. It's gonna be... is the chaos wave. Where it will look like everything is going down the drain. Oh, so I said Percunus was a whiner. It's because the message he just said there, in the previous wave, he was like, tell me how to fight for you, I want to teach people how to fight, I will always fight for you. And then in this very following wave, he's like, when will this fighting end? I'm so sick of fighting. He's a keeper. Oh, we got the music to restart. That's always a good sign. So, a lot of stuff is going on the screen. Yeah, I forgot to fill out that. That's not good. Thank you, Helios. Fly up and check. There he goes. there it was mentioning you must put Helios on an enemy path. All these roads are the enemy paths that we then build our roads around. It's not the most logical of things. I don't know why we can't just use the enemy roads. It's kind of a new strategy for me to put Helios towards the midway through all these enemies and really let these towers do more of the heavy lifting, killing off enemies. Now we're into the Agnir layers, which actually have some of the... that's 3 hits. Some of the most nerve-wracking, but it also has one of the lamest layers. This layer's fine. I'm okay with it creatively. It's a little bothersome just because it's slow with the different waves coming. Especially this last wave. Just waiting for these guys to come into damage range. Heading down south. I do enjoy this lair. The layered lair. I think they make really good use of kind of just different levels. So kudos to whoever designed this one. But now we go from that one that I think is really well designed to here. The just lamest design one in my opinion. Just have that little, whatever you would call that, and a bridge. There's some kind of nice scenery, but this feels like it should have been back in the Plains of Weedo. It's just not very inventive, not very clever. And then you have this stupid cat man doesn't want to cross the bridge. But it is followed up by a rather scary lair where it's kind of easy to die here. One of the things that you do all throughout this game is hold the shield down so that you can do these fast slashes. However, another thing you can do when you're holding the shield down is press backwards and do a dash. If you press backwards and do a dash on this, you're going to be jumping off the edge. And it's not too hard to accidentally dash backwards. We follow that scary level up with one of the more intense layers. It's becoming much more familiar, but it definitely was one of the trickiest ones. That was weird. I was expecting to have to damage boost. That's actually kind of throwing me off a little bit. So I want to make sure that the rest of the level's timing is on. Game deciding to skip a little bit. Jumping too high. Pull yourself together, Tig. Another boss with jellies. really dislike the jelly part of that boss. I'm probably gonna, oh, I got it. I was gonna miss that. So we follow up 210 Slayers with the boss level that you are absolutely most likely to die on. It doesn't have any save point. It's relatively short, but we do some dangerous jumps in it. Make use of the lightning. Right. Ah, we have the invisible bolt happen there. Okay, landed there long enough to get the double jump back. Got over him. Fairly happy with how that level went, but we still have the boss here. Who, depending on the pattern, I have to watch. Ooh. I think this is about as close as I want to get to that ledge. So yeah, he's not quite in sword range. Oh, nice. He's very kind. Came right here. Sometimes he can just hover out there and do what he wants. That was actually pretty good RNG there. He's technically one of the RNG bosses, but not as much as the Queen of Bones, or later on we're going to have the Queen of Ice. So that's not good, but it was okay. I didn't fall down the big pit. Water physics. Right up there with ice physics. Which there are no ice physics in this game. I'm gonna make this low. I just missed that ledge. It's not a good feeling. These heads are going to come back in a big way. So doing that lightning bolt was intentional. Lightning and water don't mix. They do actually electrocute the enemies, and they electrocute you. This trio have had a rough time. All the dialogue that was just skipped was them talking about all of their village elders who have died in unfortunate circumstances. I'm trying to think of some of them. One of them, I think, was eaten by a pack of ravenous wolves. One fell off a cliff. One was crushed by a bear, and that bear had just eaten their other leader. That, I think, is my favorite one. Okay, good job, Helios, killing all those frogs. Sometimes he just gives up and lets one of them go. So here for the Arunan Isles, I'm going to stick completely to towers. Archery towers. Which, I mean, we stick to them pretty heavily in the rest of the game too, but here there's a definite reason for that, and that's because of what is going to happen. Well, it'll start happening, I guess, actually in a few waves. Why is he not ready? Should have been ready. In a few waves, the water is going to start to flood. And if we had barracks or any other sort of low-lying building, the people from it just float in the water for a little bit and aren't able to attack. The water does not come up to the height of the archery towers, so enemies, or our guys in those, can attack throughout the whole process. Here is where we're going to have the water coming up. Come up a few other times. Trying to build out roads as quickly as I can all at once, just to cut down on the number of number of times I have to go to the menu and basically select roads. Helios can walk on water. He is a god, so I mean, that's pretty standard stuff. Developers of this game seem to have taken inspiration from several different religions or mythologies. Helios is Greek. I want to say that there are some Eastern Indian names in here as well. Can't remember exactly which ones. I want to say that Runan is a derivative of something. And Mount Agnir, that might have been Greek too, though. But the characters, Manu and Priya, I want to say were from some ancient origin story, like the first two people. So a lot of the stuff comes from, there'll be a few locations later too that I know are from Greek. They seem to have stayed away from the Abrahamic religions, probably trying not to offend anyone, since it would be with stuff that is considered mythology. Good job. We want Helios to kill that big red frog, otherwise we can have some problems later. Actually might have put him down. Okay, no, that was in an okay position. Little frogs with their spears. The other big benefit of having all archers is that, well, somebody survived, is that none of the enemies will kill any of our people. And so we don't have to worry about where we're putting houses. Should have known that I didn't have enough people there. We don't have to worry about where we're putting houses because the people only have to run there the first time, and then they're set for the rest of the, basically all the waves. Whereas in the other levels we have to worry about putting houses close to the attacking buildings. Might have to bust out some lightning on that guy in a moment. Get to the temple, please. Uh-oh. So there was an issue there with the game. One thing that can happen is that people and their boats can get stuck just randomly in the water. Doesn't usually happen for that long though, and so nobody came to unlock that. Oh, farts. Unlock that layer. so then I had to exit out, and then it kind of forces the game to open it up. That was not how the beginning of that was supposed to go. But we have the first introduction of these heads, which are the most annoying RNG of this entire game. Because their flight pattern is all RNG. You want them to be low enough that you can slash at them, but they don't always want to do that. Yeah, that wasn't swell. I'm glad that I don't have my exact splits up to see how long that took. I'm going to continue making use of lightning here in the water. Trying to get behind this crab there, because they seem to take a little more damage from behind. I'm worried about this head here. Okay, he stayed out of my grill. And he actually was fairly nice. That one was fairly nice too. So that was fairly clean. I think I said fairly like 5 times. These plants kind of mystify me. Why would they have eyes? They're plants. They don't need giant eyes. Jerk. It's kind of jerky. He actually was fairly nice head RNG there. Overall, the head RNG hasn't been too bad. It hasn't been as good as it can be, but definitely not as bad as it can be. These big red frogs have tiny eyes, which is a big contrast to the plants that have giant eyes that don't need eyes. No, I won't get over it. I do like these giant, I guess they're bats, that the frogs are riding. That's my favorite head in the game because it lets you kill it. It doesn't activate quick enough. Yeah, he was trying to be a jerk, but luckily had been hit enough. Into another layer level. Make use of lightning quite a bit. Didn't get the favorable bounce there, but rarely do. So far, so good on everything. That actually was very few hits from enemies. Usually there are one or two more. So we want this guy. He can do a really weird jump that I don't think the programmers intended. Doesn't look like we're gonna get it though. In the jump he just basically stays static. But we'll take those. King of Floods level. So I mentioned earlier in the game that you can actually come to any world you want to in any order. The game will add enemies based on how much health you have. And by the time we are here, the things that it is adding actually end up helping us, because it adds those arrow shooters that work really good to stand on and get through those sections a little faster. So like, if we tried to reroute the worlds that you go to, we'd still want this one to be late. Otherwise it is much harder to do. King of Floods is the most pathetic boss in my opinion. And King of Trees does not do much damage, but it's the King of Floods right here reaching out for help right before he dies. I shouldn't be mocking him for that, but I am. The last area is the Vale of Yegg. This is the hardest area. So it's definitely great to come here last. First time I saw this game played was by a guy named Bismarck. He didn't know anything about the game, came here first, and had a rough go of it. Didn't quite make that jump. Hitting all these brambles. So while all the other areas had fairly lighthearted characters, it would joke back and forth. Even the Arunan Isles, where they talk about like 10 people dying, the people here in the Vale of Yegg are just depressing. Rightfully so, but they are depressing. A lot of difficulty there for some reason. So I actually, right there, I start the wave and exit the game and come back into it. And it's going to have me start the wave all over again. But there is a reason I do that. And the reason is that normally when you build all the roads out, the game will slowly build them. But if you exit out of the game like that, it just defaults and builds them all right away. So it's a slight kind of time payoff because you're interrupting the flow of the game, but it works out here to where it's beneficial to actually let them all build out and kind of take the 5 to 10 seconds that it takes to exit the game, get back into it, restart that round. Because now we have everything built out here, where normally the roads out here would just be starting to build. Not happy about the wood situation. feel like I'd have a little bit more than this. First time we're building anything of that, the watchtower. Wait, no, that's not the watchtower. It's the war totem. What it does is anything within that circle, any offensive tower has twice the speed. So it basically turns them into two. One tower becomes two towers because it's shooting twice as fast. That's just how math works. Also have to remember to fill that back up. This build is going oddly well. I think I'm ahead of where I should be in this build cycle. I'm kind of worried that I forgot something. Everything's fine there. Everything's all good up here. Actually, did miss one thing. Should have been a house there. Happy little house. Waiting for the interrupt message. Waiting for Helios to go back up. Okay, that should take care of all those bull riders. Focus on the big guy, Helios. There we go. We built this road out far enough. I did. It's the final wave that we need to do. Nope, don't want to make it rain. Where are my clouds at? Attack the big guy. Okay, getting some hits in there. A bit over eager on trying to place him down. Good soul collection there. Sometimes they can come in a weird order. And if they come too late, you get another interrupt message. So throughout all these, we're going to make a lot of use of lightning and water. It's very helpful in this one because it actually, when I use the water magic, I then move through water at normal speed. Just fantastic because going at this speed is just painful. I sneak in here behind these lobster guys, kill them. I have to wait here a second for that bat. Otherwise, it won't get killed by that lightning. So that went well. I think this is the only lair out of all these where we don't make use of water. And the reason for that is because enemies, if they're coming to the foreground and there's water, they move slower. So it's no speed benefit to us. One of the other big skips here can usually make it. Of course, I say that and it doesn't go. Although, because there's a conversation there, you can still be moving around if you miss it, and so you have some chances to blindly get it, not lose as much time as you would. This is my favorite use of all of the lightning because it just saves so much jumping around in these trees to get all those spiders to activate and come down. It's a very nice quality of life improvement on the speedrun tactic. Fairly good on that one. This level is it's just jam-packed with enemies. Mainly it's going to be these wizards. And it's actually really only 2 of them that are following us through this whole level part here. But at the end you'll see it gets ridiculous. I actually had to stop there because I do not want to fall into that hole. The reason that this is any percent is because we are skipping things that are called weather mana upgrades that you get from fighting bosses in these levels, and one of those bosses is right under there, and if you go down there it closes the roof off and you have to fight them. It takes about 20 seconds usually, it's just too much. Only got 5 of the 9 opening pot shots that you can normally get. So the Queen of Ice is really tough unless you have lightning, because lightning gives you that little bit of invulnerability, but also it triggers her to come and do that swoop. So we finished the 5 main areas. We're on to Erebus. You could, in the game, come in here and talk to Helios's cousin, who I forget what the name is, and even if I did remember it, I don't think I could pronounce it. Miscounted on that first one. Spider jump. This is a relaxing and frustrating part at the same time. These trolls. The game will not let us advance in the level until we get them, but we can't kill them until they come into frame. So there's no real rush for, you know, a good 10 seconds. But you want to be advancing. I don't think any of the enemies really have, except the bosses, have official names, but that's Krakow from Kirby. This level introduces these flying birds. Flying nightmare fuel. I think they look like a cross between Beetlejuice and Jack Nicholson. They are not only just terrifying looking, but they explode when you kill them. Should not have missed that jump. Coming to a part of the run that causes a lot of panic for me, which is this elevator right here. Because I'm gonna have these flying guys there. It's really easy for them to knock me off. That actually went really well. Go figure. Oh, almost got knocked back down. Here we have our wordplay fight. This is the Night of Dusk. We are the Night of Dawn. So somebody was getting too cute by half. Relatively simple fight, if you know what you're doing. He does this thing here where he's calling a Krakow, but on accident the Krakow didn't even appear. Basically, by the time he would appear, he's dead. Here we have to be careful about exiting out of the game too quickly, or it won't register that you've seen that cutscene. We did it. We are now in Nyx for the boss rush. Oh. That was brain fart. I'm not supposed to switch over to lightning there. Didn't cost any time though, because that floating rock, I guess you would call it, is on a global timer. For this boss rush, we're going to go to the King of Fire first, because the King of Fire is the boss that is most likely to kill us, because they can just knock us off the edge here. It's not super common, but it does happen. And if you die during the boss rush, you have to fight all of the bosses over again. If you die on the 5th boss, you have to fight all 5 again. So if you're gonna die on the King of Fire, might as well die to him before you've fought any other bosses. Now the pathetic fight from the King of Floods. We're gonna go into our 2 RNG fights with the Queen of Ice. She can be cruel. Come on. Yeah, stay here. Good. Oh, she's being really nice. Very nice by her. Sometimes she'll do this flap away thing and shoot a bunch of ice at us. Just waste time. Can we get a 2 cycle from the Queen of Bones? Did not get a ton of hits in there. We're not going to get the 2 cycle anyway. 3 cycle, yeah, I'll take it. Now we have King of Trees again. But we're coming up to the final boss in a moment. We're gonna see, this is the thing we've been cutting through right here, this animation of Helios stabbing the ground, shooting up heroically. We give him one chance to do it and look cool. We are on the final boss here. This is Chaos. Strategy with this guy is just to keep really close in on him and slash him in the groin. I don't like when he's on the right side of me. The other thing we want is we don't want him to call any shadow monsters. There we go. Timer is not done yet because we have to talk to the various people of the different worlds. That we will just skip through everything they're saying. We do appreciate Manu and Priya here, because they're going to be very short. Plato does get her dog. Quo quo. Final. There we go. And that is SolSeraph.
So it was.
Oh, and now we get budget rate Morgan Freeman.
Father of forethought, child of man and God, he whose name may be uttered, finally drove chaos away. Now Manu and Priya, well know Sandehanu, and all our other friends, all the many people that make up humankind, could live and thrive in peace, building a world for themselves and their children and their children's children. Is that the end of the story?
But thank you to Obscurathon for letting me show off SolSeraph.
If we lose our path, lose our faith in each other.
There is no dedicated Discord or anything to it, but the Sega Ace team has a general Discord that they have a specific channel for SolSeraph. Can also, there's some resources on speedrun.com, or if you want to run it, you can contact me directly. I would be more than happy to give you tips for running it, because there are 3 runners and I'm the only active one.
Uncertain, we turn our eyes.
You can usually find it on Steam on sale for like $5. Totally worth it. That's the last of the 2 games from me. Thank you again to Speedrun and Obscurathon for letting me show them off.